My name is James Miller. I have been driving trucks for 12 years. This happened on January 18th, 2021. I was driving south on I-77 through Fancy Gap, Virginia. If you know that road, you know it is steep. It drops fast. At night, it feels even steeper. I left Wytheville around 10 at night. It was cold. No snow. No rain. Just dark. The kind of dark where your headlights only show a small part of the road. I was hauling lumber. The trailer was heavy but not overloaded. Everything felt normal. Halfway down, I pressed the brake pedal. The truck did not slow down. At first, I thought I pressed too soft, so I pressed harder. Nothing. The pedal felt soft, too soft, like it was not doing anything. I looked at the dashboard. No warning lights. Air pressure looked fine. I pumped the brakes. Still nothing. That is when my stomach dropped. I knew something was wrong. The hill gets steeper near the bottom. There is a curve before it levels out. I know that curve. You cannot take it too fast. I downshifted hard. The engine got loud. The truck shook, but I was still going too fast. I pressed the brake again, all the way down. Nothing. No slowing, no grab, just speed. 55, 60, 65. That is too fast for a loaded truck on a mountain. I thought about the runaway truck ramp. There is one on that hill, but I had already passed it. There was no other one before the curve. I knew I was running out of road. I picked up my phone and I called my wife. She answered right away. I told her I loved her. She asked what was wrong. I told her my brakes were gone. She thought I was joking. Then she heard my voice. She stopped laughing. I told her to tell the kids I loved them. I tried to stay calm. I did not want her to panic, but I was scared, really scared. I could see the curve coming up ahead. The trees on both sides were black. No cars in front of me, no cars behind me, just me and the hill. The truck was shaking from the engine brake. I could smell something hot, not smoke, just heat. The curve was close now. I took a deep breath. I held the steering wheel tight. I thought, this is it. This is how it ends. Then the truck jerked. Just a little. I pressed the brake again. This time it grabbed, hard. The whole cab pulled forward. The trailer pushed from behind, but it slowed down, fast, very fast. Within seconds, I was under 50, then 40, then slower. I made the curve, slow, careful. My hands were shaking. I could barely hold the wheel. When the hill flattened out, I pulled over. I just sat there. The engine was still running. My wife was still on the phone. She was crying. I did not know what to say. I did not understand what just happened. I got out of the truck. I checked the airlines, the brake parts. Everything looked normal. No leaks, no smoke, nothing broken. I drove the rest of the way under the speed limit. I tested the brakes again and again. They worked fine, smooth, normal, like nothing had ever happened. The next morning, I had the truck checked, full inspection. The mechanic said everything looked good. He asked why I brought it in. I told him the brakes stopped working on the hill. He said that should not happen if the air pressure stayed normal, but it did. I watched it. I do not drive that hill at night anymore. If dispatch sends me that way after dark, I stop early. I do not care if I lose time. I do not care if it costs me money. I have tried to explain it in my head. Maybe I panicked. Maybe I pressed wrong. Maybe it was heat. But here is what I cannot forget. When the brakes came back, they did not fade in. They did not slowly work. They just worked, all at once. I thought it would be over the next day. I thought once the truck passed inspection, my mind would calm down. It didn't. That night, when I tried to sleep in the sleeper cab, I kept seeing that curve, over and over. Every time I closed my eyes, I was back on that hill. Speed, climbing. Brakes, not working. Phone, in my hand. My wife, crying. I could still hear the engine screaming in low gear. I could still feel the steering wheel shaking under my palms. For weeks after that, I changed the way I drove. I downshifted earlier than I needed to. I tested the brakes before every long downgrade, even small ones. If the road dropped even a little, I pressed the pedal, just to feel it grab, just to know it was there. I started listening to the truck more, every hiss of air, every click, every small sound from under the cab. Before that night, those were just normal truck noises. After that night, they all meant something, or at least I thought they did. There was one moment about a month later. Different state, different hill, nothing major. But when I pressed the brake, there was a half-second delay. Just a half second, probably nothing. But my heart jumped straight into my throat. I pulled over immediately, checked everything again. Everything was fine. It always is. The worst part is this: when the brakes came back that night on Fancy Gap, there was no warning, no slow return, no sign they were about to grab. They just did, like something flipped a switch, and I have never figured out why. I have talked to other drivers about brake fade, about air systems, about heat. Most of them say the same thing. If your air pressure stayed normal, the brakes should have responded. They might weaken, they might smell, but they do not just disappear, and they do not just come back perfect. I still do loads in the mountains. It is part of the job, but I do not trust long grades the way I used to, and I do not like Fancy Gap after midnight. There is something about that stretch, the way it drops, the way it feels empty, the way your headlights seem small against all that dark. And sometimes, when I'm driving at night and the road starts to drop, I press the brake early. Not because I do not trust the truck, but because I remember how quiet the cab was while I was telling my family goodbye. I remember how calm my voice tried to sound. I remember thinking I had maybe 30 seconds left. I remember the curve getting bigger in the windshield, and I remember the exact second I accepted that I was not going to make it. Then the brakes worked, and I still do not know why. My name is Daniel Ruiz. I was driving a 1999 Kenworth that night. Old truck, long nose, loud engine, no screens, just round gauges and switches. I was hauling a dry van load out past Las Vegas, not the Strip, not the lights, the dark side, the desert. It was about 3 a.m, cold for Nevada, the kind of cold that makes the air feel thin. The road was empty, no cars, no houses, just flat land and small hills. My Kenworth had been running fine all night. Then I felt it, a small shake, like the engine missed a beat. I looked at the gauges. Oil was fine, temp was fine, air pressure was fine. Then the engine lost power, not all at once. Slow, like it was giving up. I pressed the gas. Nothing. The truck rolled forward and then stopped. Dead quiet. I tried the key. It cranked, but it would not catch. I tried again. Same thing. Just that hollow engine sound. The desert was silent. No wind. No bugs. Nothing. I checked my phone. 1 bar. I tried calling roadside help. Call failed. I sat there for a minute, thinking. I did not like being stuck out there, not at that hour. I remembered passing a gas station maybe a mile back. Lights were on. I thought maybe they had a tow service, so I grabbed my flashlight and started walking. The gas station looked open. The lights inside were bright, but the parking lot was empty. No cars, no people. The sign said 24 hours, but the door was unlocked. I stepped inside. No music, no clerk, just the hum of the lights. I walked around for a few minutes. I called out. Nothing. Then I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned fast. There was a tall man standing behind me. He had one eye. The other eye was covered with a black patch. He did not smile. He just stared. He said, "How can I help you?" His voice was calm, too calm. I told him my Kenworth broke down about a mile away. I said it might be engine trouble. He nodded slow. He said he had a tow truck out back. He said he could take me to it. I did not like the way he looked at me, but I needed help, so I followed him. The tow truck was old, very old. Rust all over the doors. The paint was peeling. When I opened the passenger door, a smell hit me. It was bad, like something had been sitting too long, like something dead. I almost stepped back, but I got in. I had no choice. He started the truck. The engine growled. We drove away from the gas station, but instead of going back the way I came, he kept going forward. I said, "My truck is the other way." He said, "We need to take a detour." He did not look at me when he said it. We turned right onto a small dirt road. No street sign, no lights, just sand and tire tracks. Fog started to roll in, desert fog, thin but enough to blur the distance. We drove for a few minutes, then I saw it, an old trailer park. Most of the trailers looked empty, windows broken, doors hanging open. In the middle of it, there was a small playground, old swings, rusty slide, and one kid sitting on a swing, moving back and forth, slow, no sound, no other kids, no parents, just him. I felt something in my chest, like I should not be there, like I walked into something I was not meant to see. The tow truck stopped. The man with the eye patch said he needed to grab something from his trailer. He pointed to one of the dark trailers near the back. He told me to wait outside. I stepped out of the tow truck. The cold felt sharper there. The kid kept swinging, back and forth, back and forth. He never looked at me, not once. The man walked toward the trailer. I watched him open the door. He went inside. The door stayed open, but the inside was pitch black. I stood there for maybe 30 seconds, maybe a minute. It felt longer. Everything felt wrong. The smell from the tow truck was still in my nose. The fog was thicker now. The kid stopped swinging. The swing moved one last time. Then it was still. The kid turned his head slowly. He looked straight at me. Then he lifted his arm and pointed at me. Did not say a word. Just pointed. That was it. That was enough. I did not wait for the mechanic to come back. There was a small bike near the playground. Maybe it was the kids. I did not ask. I grabbed it, I got on, and I rode, fast. I did not look back. I pedaled hard. The dirt road felt endless. My legs burned. My heart felt like it was going to burst. I kept waiting to hear the tow truck behind me, but I heard nothing, just the wind. When I reached the highway, I left the bike. I ran the rest of the way to my Kenworth. It was sitting there, right where I left it, dark, silent. I climbed into the cab. My hands were shaking. I turned the key. The engine started, right away, smooth, normal, like nothing had ever been wrong. All the gauges read fine. Oil, temperature, everything. I sat there for a long time. I tried to think. Maybe it was fuel, maybe it was something simple, maybe I imagined part of it, but I know what I saw, I know what I smelled, and I know that kid pointed at me. I drove away from there, did not stop until I saw city lights again. I never found that gas station on a map later. I tried, I looked for it, nothing. After that night, I tried to tell myself it was simple. Maybe the engine flooded. Maybe I bumped something loose. Maybe I was just tired. But here's what I cannot explain. When I got back on the highway, I checked my mirrors. The road behind me was empty. No lights. No dirt road. No trailer park. Just flat desert, like it had never been there. A week later, I drove that same stretch again, in daylight. I looked for the gas station. I slowed down near the mile marker where my truck stopped. There was nothing there, just sand, no building, no sign, no driveway, nothing. I even checked satellite maps later, zoomed in, zoomed out. There was no 24-hour station anywhere near that road, not for miles. And sometimes I think about that kid, the way he stopped swinging, the way he did not speak, the way he just pointed, not angry, not scared, just pointing like he was warning me or sending me somewhere. I still do not know which. The part that stays with me the most is that my Kenworth started on the first turn of the key. No sputter, no struggle, like it had never failed, like it had never left me sitting alone in the desert at 3 a.m. I have driven that truck for years. I know the sound it makes when something is wrong. That night, it did not sound wrong. It just stopped, and then later, it just worked. So, I do not stop at desert gas stations anymore. Not after midnight, not when the lot is empty, and if I ever see a playground in the desert again, I am not getting out of the truck, because some places out there feel like they are waiting. My name is Marco Alvarez. I drive a Peterbilt 579, red cab, long hood, manual transmission. This happened outside Laredo, Texas. I was heading south on I-35. It was 1:07 in the morning, summer heat. Even at night, the air felt warm. I was hauling produce, reefer trailer humming steady behind me. The road was mostly empty, just long black highway and the glow of my headlights. I've driven that stretch many times. There are real checkpoints in that area. Border Patrol, state troopers. It's normal to see flashing lights, so when I saw lights ahead, I didn't think much at first. They were parked across the highway, 2 SUVs with their hazards on, blocking both lanes. I slowed down right away, hit my brakes hard. The truck shuddered as I dropped gears. At first, I thought maybe there was an accident, maybe something happened up the road. As I got closer, I noticed something strange. No official markings, no light bars, just regular SUVs with flashers. 3 men stepped into the road. They were wearing dark clothes, no clear badges. One of them held up his hand, signaling me to stop. My heart started beating harder, but I told myself it was probably plainclothes officers. It happens sometimes. I brought the Peterbilt to a full stop. Air brakes hissed. Engine idled heavy. The reefer unit kept humming behind me. One of the men came to my window. He knocked twice. I rolled it down halfway. He asked for my documents, license, registration, bill of lading. His voice was calm, too calm. I looked at his face. No name tag, no vest, no radio, no visible badge, just dark clothes and eyes that didn't blink much. I handed him my papers anyway. I didn't want trouble. Another man walked around my trailer, shining a flashlight along the sides, slow, like he was looking for something specific. The third one stood behind my truck, blocking the road. No other cars passed. None. For almost 5 minutes. Not a single set of headlights. That's when it started to feel wrong. I've been stopped before. Real officers move with purpose. They talk on radios. They ask direct questions. These men just move slowly. Quiet. Too quiet. The one at my window asked where I was headed. I said, San Antonio. Drop at 6 a.m. He asked what I was hauling. I said, vegetables, lettuce, and peppers. Reefer is set at 34 degrees. He didn't nod. He didn't write anything down. He just kept looking at me. Then his eyes moved past me. Slow, over the dash, the CB radio, the empty passenger seat, then to the back. My sleeper curtain was half open. He leaned a little lower to see inside. He looked at my bunk, my duffel bag, my cooler on the floor, like he was checking if someone else was hiding back there, like he was counting bodies. My hands were sweating on the steering wheel. I thought about hitting the gas, but they were standing in front of the truck and behind it. There was nowhere to go. Then something strange happened. The man with my papers leaned in closer and said, "You didn't see anything tonight." I froze. I didn't know what he meant. I hadn't seen anything. He stared at me for a few seconds. Then he handed my documents back. He said, "You're good. Keep driving." Just like that. No warning. No explanation. They moved the SUVs aside, cleared one lane. I didn't wait. I put it in gear and pulled forward. Slow at first, then faster. As I passed them, I looked in my mirror. All 3 men were watching me, not talking, not moving, just watching. About 2 miles down the road, I saw flashing lights, marked vehicles, a real checkpoint, signs out, officers in uniform, cones set up properly. They waved me through without stopping me, which was strange. They were stopping other trucks, but not me. I kept driving. My chest felt tight. Something didn't make sense. When I checked my mirrors again, the road behind me was empty. No SUVs, no hazard lights, nothing, just black highway. The next morning, I told another driver at a truck stop what happened. We were parked side by side, engines off, just sitting on our steps drinking coffee. I told him about the SUVs, the 3 men, the way they blocked both lanes, the way they stood there without badges. He didn't laugh. He didn't say I was crazy. He just went quiet. Then he asked me where exactly it happened, not just near Laredo. He wanted the mile marker. I told him the number I remembered. He nodded slow. Then he said something that made my stomach drop. He said there hasn't been any kind of stop on that stretch for months. Not there. Not at that mile marker. He said if Border Patrol sets up, you see signs miles ahead. You see cones. You see lights from far away. You don't just run into it. I asked him if maybe it was undercover. He shook his head. He said undercover does not block both lanes of a highway at 1 in the morning. He said real officers do not move that slow, and they always log stops. Always. Later that day, I called a friend who runs that lane every week. I asked him if he had ever seen SUVs stopping trucks there. He said no. He said that area stays dark most nights. Empty. He asked me why. I told him it was nothing. I changed the subject. I tried to explain it away. Maybe they were private security. Maybe I missed a sign. Maybe I was more tired than I thought, but there are things I cannot explain. When the man leaned in close, I could see his reflection in my side mirror. His face looked calm, too calm. No rush, no fear, no reason to hurry. He didn't ask about the seal on my trailer. He didn't ask to open the doors. He didn't check the back. He just looked inside my cab, long enough to know I was alone. And when he said, "You didn't see anything tonight," it didn't sound like a warning. It sounded like a fact, like something had already happened before I got there. Something I was not meant to see, or maybe something I almost saw. 2 weeks later, I drove that same stretch again. Same Peterbilt, same lane, almost the same time of night. I told myself I would not think about it, but as I passed that mile marker, I slowed down. There was nothing there. No tire marks, no sign of vehicles stopping, no gravel pulled onto the shoulder, just smooth highway and open land, like it had never been touched. I checked my mirrors again. For a second, I thought I saw headlights far behind me, low, close together, but when I blinked, they were gone. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was just road glare. I did not slow down to find out. I still drive I-35. It is part of the job. Freight moves through Laredo every day, but I do not like that stretch after midnight. And if I ever see hazard lights blocking both lanes again, I am not stopping right away. Not until I see badges. Not until I see real markings. Not until I know it is official, because I still hear that voice sometimes. Calm, close, certain. You didn't see anything tonight. And I still don't know what I almost saw.